Is it that time? Oh ho ho, I think it's that time. There we are. Hello there. I'm Enviroboy. This is my channel. Happy Thursday. Thursday. I'm in a good mood today. I don't have a particular reason why. I just woke up on the right side of the bed today, and I've just been I've been motivated. I should amend that. I did not wake up that way. I woke up feeling rough this morning. I did not sleep well last night. I woke up feeling rough, but I powered through that, got my morning workout in, came back, took it easy for a little bit this morning, rested up, and now I got my second wind, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to write some stuff. I'm feeling super motivated to write and create things today, which is just dandy, because here we are. We're going to do exactly that on stream, and I'm stoked to do it. It's going to be a good time. As to just make up magic, whatever ridiculous magical things that will break the system and upset every rules lawyer that's ever existed. I love it. Their tears nourish me as I take hold of the clause within the player's handbook and all of the other books themselves of D&D that encourage you to do exactly this. As I take that advice and do whatever the crap I feel like within my world, I'm feeling motivated about it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. I can just feel it, man. I can just feel it. So, what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? I'm going to get us over, and we're just going to dive into it, right? We don't need to worry about doing any fancy, nonsense or whatever. Just go for it. Here we go. Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's the old one. Hold up. Wait a minute. There it is. There's the pretty one with the border. Haha. It looks so much prettier that way. And probably no one on Earth except for me cares, but damn it, I like it. I like that border. It just feels so cozy, maybe is the word for it. I don't know. I'm just admiring it. I'm just gonna sit here and awkwardly talk about it and admire it, even though it's not new and exciting. I've been doing it for weeks. It's just so fun. Look at it. It looks so good. It looks so good, man. Okay. All right. What the heck am I supposed to be doing? Here we go. We're doing enchantments. I'm gonna make up enchanted items and stuff, and it's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have a good day doing it. I'm stoked about it. I'm ready for it. What do I want to work on today? There's so many schools of magic, and we can do whatever we want. Do whatever we want with it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I call it enchantments. So I call it imbibements, really, because enchantment magic is a form of magic, and what we're talking about is enchanting an item, which is different than enchantment magic, but kind of not really. And so just to clarify, I should be better about using the term imbibement, because within my world, that's kind of that means what most people colloquially use the term enchantment for, which is put magic on item. I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna obsess over it. Let's do some abjuration. I kind of started working on abjuration a little bit in my free time, and now I'm kind of in a kick for that, and I kind of want to keep doing that. Hold on, let me get a better view here. Zoom this out, maybe? Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better, so that way nothing's getting cut off. That should work. That should work just fine. I think that's pretty visible. I mean, it's visible for me, but kind of scrunched, but then again, I'm doing a mini screen on a mini screen on a mini screen, so I think that's good. Because when you're viewing your own stuff, it's weird. It gets really weird. But whatever, no one cares about that. People barely care about the stuff that I'm actually supposed to be doing on here, so. But the important thing is that I care about what I'm doing, and that's what makes it fun, right? My energy is infectious, or at least that's the goal. Let's bring up our list of spells. Okay, we're working with abjuration. We want to go, let's see here. We want to go spell level. Well, I guess I'm not even actually worried about spell level. I want to do spell school abjuration. Just filter out the spells, because we can just if we finish all the cantrips, then we'll just go to level 1, right? We'll just kind of keep on. We'll just keep on cruising along the list and everything, and that's the thing we'll do with it. We just got to sort them by level here. There we go. Oh, we already did the 2 cantrips. Blade Warden Resistance, great. That means we get to go on to level 1. Did I already start level 1? Man, I don't know. I don't remember what I was working on. Yeah, I've already started level 1. Oh yeah, I definitely made some progress. Oh, we were working on ceremony. That's right. I was going to start working on ceremony, and then I didn't, because ceremony's kind of a big spell. This one's got a lot of stuff to consider, but that's fun, right? I don't know. I think it's fun. Maybe I'm the only person in the world. Maybe I'm the only person in the world who thinks it's fun, but I think it's fun for sure. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, and you can't stop me. All right, ceremony. Yeah, because we've got each of these individual things, and I think what's gonna be fun is for us to think about how each of these things gets put onto an object. Because I feel like for the enchantment, it would be like it would just be only the one, right? Like you would basically choose which ceremony you're imbibing on the item, and that's the only thing that that item can do, is sort of what I'm thinking. But because of that, we're functionally kind of coming up with 6 individual imbibements. So this one's going to be a big boy. This is going to be a big boy thing that we're working on, but I think it's going to be fun. So let's just grab it. Well, let me see here. You perform a special religious ceremony that is infused with magic. When you cast the spell, choose one of the following rites, the target of which must be within 10 feet of you throughout the casting. Touch one willing creature whose alignment has changed, and you make DC 20 wisdom on a successful... Okay, yeah. So for all of these, so the idea is that you, like, touch a creature or touch an item with whatever the imbibed item is. So I feel like it needs to either be... Like, I feel like it can really just be on any item that you then make contact with, right? Like a wand or a staff or a glove. A glove would be really cool. Like the glove of atonement or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, so I think but I think really I think I can just make it. Oh, excuse me. Whoa, that was weird. That just came from like juice. That was weird. All right. I think it can be on any item. I'm gonna do it that way. There we go. On any item that is used to touch the target. So we'll do it that way. We'll say such as a staff or a glove. So we'll do it that way, and we can just kind of specify. Like that's how I feel like this sort of rune would work. Right, because that's kind of how I've ended up doing this, right? Where it's like I'm basically creating a rune system like you would find in Pathfinder or something, just with a whole lot of diversity and utility that can be really fun, and you can put different runes on different items and stuff, or you can remove the runes from the items, and so you can just kind of share different, like, interesting things, but like while playing 5e rather than playing Pathfinder. Which then some might ask, why not just play Pathfinder? And the reason to that is simple. Because most people don't want to. Most, like, D&D, okay, like, let's just be real here. Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, they have a much stronger marketing campaign by simply having the name Dungeons & Dragons be their property, right? Like, the property of Dungeons & Dragons, right? That intellectual property, because it's like the original, not the original, but the original popular one that people knew about, you know, that's the one that everyone knows about. And so everyone goes into it. So it's like, why do that one? Because if you're looking for new players and you're looking to get people involved in it, and you're looking to make sure people have easy access to resources through like libraries and stuff like that, D&D is the one to choose. The other thing I will say about it too, and keep in mind, this is coming from a position of I'm an active player in a Pathfinder game. I like Pathfinder. I think it's fun. I think it has its own charm separate from D&D that makes it a unique enough experience that I enjoy it. And you know, I enjoy playing that one in conjunction with 5e. But I will also say about Pathfinder does not apologize for the rule-heavy mechanics that it does. You know, it doesn't. It's pretty shameless about that, and so, and that's awesome, and that's great for the people who like that. But for me, or not really for me, I should say, for new players, that can be pretty intimidating. And so if we kind of can come up with a system that allows us to do some of the fun stuff with Pathfinder, but within the context of the a little easier to digest for new people style of D&D, then hey, you know, we're kind of two birds one stone in it here, right? And so that's kind of where this comes from, because pretty much like when I have the tendency, you know, as a DM to, like, I don't look online for groups Oh my gosh, I am getting flooded by bots. The bots are here. We're banning. I'm disinterested in this stuff. There we go. All right, there we go. But yeah, like I don't go online and take out ads on like Discord servers or Reddit channels or anything, subreddits, or anything like that to find a group. I play with friends and family who are interested. And so, you know, a lot of times that means I end up playing with friends and family who have never played before. So I pretty much just always stick to DMing 5th edition because it is, again, it's one of the most accessible and one of the most approachable for new players to think about and to use. So I just kind of do that. So pretty much everything that I work on takes place in 5e, at least as far as fantasy goes. When it comes to any other game, you take what you can get, right? If you want a non-fantasy setting, you kind of take what you can get because there tends to be just like one dominant that's in it. When you want horror, Call of Cthulhu. You want space, Starfinder, right? Like there are other games, but it's like those are like the ones. Those are the ones. But I don't know. I'm going on a tangent here. And really what it comes down to is I do this system rather than just using a game system that has it because most of the people I know want to use this system, want to use 5e. And dang it, I'd rather play in 5e repeatedly than I would than trying to convince people to play a game that's more difficult for them to kind of grasp and get a hold of. So that's my take on it. That's it. I'm just going to manage my volume here a little bit. I feel like I'm maybe talking a bit more loudly and animatedly than I did when I was sampling and setting up my mic because I feel like I'm peaking a lot more than I might normally. Let me just kind of like manage this a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. I'm trying to make sure I'm not like peaking and giving myself any sort of excess gain because I spent a lot of time messing with my mic settings before. So I want to make sure it's like actually working, but it's like when you're just kind of talking and putting a sample into things, you don't talk with the same energy as when you're like actually sitting here talking about something with passion. So let's try and manage this a little bit more here. Let's see. Okay, I think that'll probably work a little bit better. It looks like it's a little less aggressive in the peaks and everything. Yeah, that's going to do us much better, I think. I think that'll do much better. And if it's too quiet, people will just yell at me that I'm too quiet, and we'll fix it, and it'll be great. So hooray. Hooray. Okay, ceremony. My goodness. I've been ranting about all kinds of stuff that's unrelated to like actually just doing the project here. So, you know, let's do the project. Got our bullets, our format there. Okay, so you perform a special religious ceremony that is infused with magic when you touch the target. When you touch the target with the enchanted item is kind of what this should say. When you enchant an item with this spell, when you imbue an item with this spell, choose one of the following rites. We'll do that, and then we'll also say, and then I want to change it. I want to change this to say, when using the imbued item, it must make contact with the target of the ceremony spell. There we go. So we just do that. Mechanically, I think that's going to work best for us. Hold on, let me get rid of that. There we go. That's going to look a bit better. Okay, so we've got these, and I'm going to actually set these up right here. And so I don't really like that we've got just like a spare, like a singular bullet at that level. But hey, you know, sometimes that's just how things pan out. Okay, so you perform a special religious ceremony that is infused with magic when you imbue. Okay. Yeah. Atonement. You touch one willing creature whose alignment has changed, and you make a DC 20 Wisdom Insight check. On a successful check, you restore the target to its original alignment. You touch one willing creature with the item. We'll do that, whose alignment has changed. You make a DC 20 Wisdom Insight check. On a successful check, restore the target to its original alignment. Great. I think that's great. Bless water. You touch one vial of water and cause it to become holy water. Great. I think that's perfect. We don't need to do anything. Coming of age. You touch one humanoid who is a young adult. For the next 24 hours, whatever the target makes an ability check, it can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. A creature can benefit from this right only once. Interesting. That's just kind of an interesting ritual in general. Like, I like the assumption that it has that there's like some sort of measurable, like definitional situation, like some sort of measurable definitional, like law of physics or something regarding coming of age. I think that's really kind of an interesting thought, that like there's something, I don't know, like biological about coming of age, which is really just sort of like a social concept. I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, dedication. You touch one humanoid who wishes to be dedicated to your god's service. In the next 24 hours, whenever the target makes a saving throw, it can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the save. A creature can benefit from this right only once. Okay. So coming of age is ability checks, and dedication is saving throws. Interesting. Funeral rite. You touch one corpse, and for the next 7 days, the target can't become undead by any means short of a wish spell. Great. Or wedding. You touch adult humanoids willing to be bonded together in marriage. For the next 7 days, each target gains a +2 bonus to AC while they are within 30 feet of each other. Aw, that's touching. A creature can benefit from this right, again, only if widowed. This ritual does not recognize divorce. This is the Catholic wedding ceremony, okay? It does not recognize divorce. Once you're married, you're married. Dang it. That's really funny. That's really funny. The more I think about it, like, what a strange... I mean, I guess they wanted to add some sort of distinction so a guy can't just, like, whore himself out, you know, and you can't have some sort of, like... Because I could see something where a party were to just have, like, a wedding, like, like some sort of, like, polygamous wedding cult going on where all they do is they just, like, marry and divorce each other for the sake of constantly getting the wedding, so they can all have bonus AC. So I guess that's probably why they put it there. So it's like only if the person you married dies do you get that benefit. But wow, that's really funny. Like, it's just really funny to me that basically invokes the traditional Catholic interpretation of marriage and ending marriage. It's really funny to me. Okay, anyway. That's great. Honestly, I don't think we need to change those. I think this actually, when you just imbue the item with that, when you choose one of the ceremonies, I think that it just does it. Like, I think that's great. And so that's really fun. And so I feel like with this one with sentience, so a lot of times with sentience, I'll have it be where it like chooses, like, or rather it like will somehow add a potency in some way, shape, or form to the spell. But in this one, what I think I'm going to do is I think each personality will probably just have, like, maybe the benefit is that it will do two, like, you can choose between two rituals because you can, like, discuss it with it, but it will, like, it only is willing to do two of them, right? So good, maybe the good one is all about helping people, you know, achieve or something like that, and so it's all about, like, so it does or maybe it's like the good one is like really religious, so it only does like atonement and bless water or something like that, right? Like it does something like that maybe. So good is all about holiness. It's all about holiness. We'll say can cast can only, let's see here. How do I want to say this? Can cast both atonement and bless water ceremonies but no others. So with single imbibement is what I want to do with it. All right, so yeah, so there we go. And so with the evil, we'll say is rather macabre about things, can only cast funeral rite and dedication, right? Like with the dedication being like it's all about just trying to save your skin, and if not, just like making sure. So it's like not evil so much as it is just like emo, but you know, that's probably the closest we can get with those ceremonies, and I think that's fine. Lawful, I feel like that's going to be is all about we'll say personal growth with this one. Personal growth can actually, hold on, we need to change the phrasing of that other one. So I'm just gonna save myself a little bit of time. We're gonna copy that, and this one was funeral rite and dedication. Can cast both funeral rite, and what was the other one? Dedication ceremonies, but no others. And so this one can cast both. Actually, just to save time again, because I've got it here. So the lawful one, it's all about personal growth. So I'm gonna have it do only coming of age and wedding ceremonies. But no others with a single imbibement. And then chaotic. So we've kind of already got all of them covered. I kind of want chaotic to be okay, I have an idea for a chaotic. Can cast any ceremony with a single imbibement, right? So it's like just imbibing it once. This one can actually cast any of those ceremonies, but my thought here is cast any imbibement, but it chooses based on the mood of the room. So like it'll do what it thinks is most appropriate. Sometimes that'll work, other times maybe it won't. It's a little out there, and it just has a mind of its own, so it's, you know, it'll be fine. All right, and so now we got to think about if it's cursed. So my thought of it being cursed here is like, I feel like it's just like it can cast, I kind of feel like it can cast any ritual, or any ceremony, I should say, any ceremony with a single imbibement. Imbibement, there it is. You can cast any ceremony with a single imbibement. Any ceremony with a single imbibement, and will obey the commands of the caster. So it's like not like chaotic, where the chaotic one chooses. No, this one will listen, right? You can choose the ceremony, and it will listen and it will obey. But the side effect is casting the ceremony drains the user, causing 1 level of exhaustion is what we'll do. And so here's what my thought is too with it being cursed. Here's what my thought of this is going to be kind of sentient, the way I'm going to have this be cursed, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be good. All right, what I want to do is what it takes to remove, we'll say must be removed magically if the owner tries to abandon the item will hold a grudge about it the next time the player is in combat and tries to cast a ceremony, it will cast it instead on the enemy. So it's like it'll hold a grudge, and so it's like if you try to get rid of it, it'll just like it'll with a mind of its own try and help your enemies as opposed to help you, which I think actually would be a really interesting angle to take with it. Honestly, I think that would be really interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's fun. Honestly, this one's pretty easy because this one, just by like having it be so it's like, yeah, you touch something to cast the ceremony. Like the ceremony itself is like just the way it's written really lends itself well to like an imbibement enchantment type of situation. So I think that one was really easy and really good. I like that one a lot. I'm pleased with that. So now let's go ahead and just make a sample item. I've been doing this thing where I make like a sample item that can then be used. So it's like if I have players that aren't really interested in the rune system, but like the idea of various magical items, we can have just sort of like a large collection of a lot of very unique, interesting, fun magical items. And I kind of have, I thought about, so over this past weekend, right, I was visiting family, and whenever I do that, there's usually a lot of downtime because my family is a very, enjoy each other's presence without it being a big event type of family. Like some families are really big on like always doing stuff together, right? They go out and about and they do stuff, or they're always playing games or like doing stuff together at home. My family is very much we just enjoy each other's company. And so that means there's a lot of downtime. So I oftentimes will get a lot of like writing and stuff done. And so this past weekend I was kind of thinking about this enchantment and trying to sort of like clarify exactly how common various levels of all of this would be. And I kind of came up with in here sort of like the commonality of how of like one of these items. Let me restart because I'm tripping over my words here. I'm not even tripping over them, I'm just not even getting them out, right? So it's like, if we got this, that was my notes while I was writing it. So it's like for each level of spell that gets imbibed, because cantrips are like, super low level, super common spells versus level 9s being like just the rarest of the rare, right? So I was thinking about like how common would an item that's imbued with one of these spells be, right? Like at different levels. So like cantrips or workers' tools, common items accessible to most, though perhaps a little pricey. It's not uncommon for middle-class commoners to be able to afford an item of this nature if they budget and save for a few months. They're utilitarian and often make jobs easier and safer, such as protective items for hard laboring jobs or items that sharpen the minds of accountants, right? So it's like things that someone who saves up for a little bit might have in town, right? Versus, say, we get up to level 10, or level 9, the gods themselves. An item of this magnitude is respected and feared by the gods themselves. Their powers defy the rules of reality and can shape existence itself. Most mortals cannot even wield an item so powerful, let alone use it to effect. Right? The idea being that we're basically just at this point in time acknowledging the fact that our players will sort of become demigods by the time they're like level 20. Right, and so it's like these items are really powerful, and then there's like different scales, like different levels of this as they go. Right, so it's like a level 4 town or village claim to fame. These are items reserved for local leaders. They are very expensive and typically require a unique request to find. It is not uncommon for the use of one of these items to be the source of fame that helps launch someone into power enough to be elected or appointed as a local leader. Kings and gods may scoff at the item, but the peasants will be in awe of it if summoned before the owner, right? So it's the type of item that, like, a local mayor might have that, like, within town, people are like, oh, yeah, no, he's the guy in charge. He's got the one item, right? But then, like, a king of the land would look at that and be like, yes, you may have your paltry items as they have their other things. Whereas, like, level 7, right, King's Dynasty, rulerships are built around these items. They are legendary items of monarchs used to maintain their dominance over their lands. They are known the world over and are often seen as evidence for a divine right of rulership. Truly, wars are fought for and over these items. Even the gods are weary of such things, right? So it's like just these different levels to kind of help offer some consistency about what type of sample item I make and how common that would be. So if we're looking at a level 1 spell, like we're doing right now for these abjuration spells, level 1, high quality tools. These items can be thought of as slightly more powerful versions of similar cantrip items. They cost a bit more for their added potency, but are not out of reach for commoners, wealthy enough to own their own business. But not out of reach of commoners wealthy enough to own their own business. For many, owning an item such as this is more about status than utility, right? So it's like these types of things are, in terms of help, around the shop, maybe not much different than a cantrip item, but they are kind of special and unique. In that sense, right? And so it's like that's the type of thing. So it's like so using that idea, right? Let's go ahead and head back to our imbibement here, our ceremony imbibement. So this is a level 1 spell, right? So it's like something. So like this is the type of thing that like like I could see a priest having a handkerchief, like a wedding handkerchief or something like that, right? And so it's like they use that, so like when they're doing the ritual at a wedding where you like drape the cloth over the hands to like represent like being bound to each other or something like that, right? He has this and he lays that on the hands, and that casts the wedding ceremony, right? So it's like a specialized tool, but it's almost more about the status and the appearance of it than anything else, because like people who are just doing a wedding ceremony at a church are probably not going to within the next week go on a honeymoon that involves them hunting down, all kinds of crazy, dangerous monsters, right? So it's like, it's more about the status than anything. I actually really like that idea for an item. I'm going to use that as my sample item here. So we're going to call it the wedding kerchief. Is that? Yeah, there we go. The wedding kerchief. Right? Because like the other thing about these, because they're common, it's like someone who's like a professional imbiber, someone who professionally imbues, right? So like an enchanter or something like that. They would, something like this, maybe be able to make a batch of them, right? They would have like a batch of 10 kerchiefs, and they could make those, and it could be like the local guy who then like kind of sells them in the shop in town, right? Or something like that. So it's like they're not super uncommon. And so, it wouldn't really at all be out of reach for a priest to have access to this or something like that is sort of my thought. So wedding kerchief. So we'll say owned by many priests who wish to advertise their wedding ceremonies as being particularly we'll say particularly meaningful in the eyes of the gods, is imbued with the wedding ceremony and is cast when the kerchief is draped over the hands of the betrothed. So it's like it kind of breaks a little bit because we're assuming that it would impact both of them, but we'll just go ahead and brush over it, just because like for this situation it seems kind of goofy, and functionally speaking, players would probably just grab it and like use the kerchief where they want to use it. So I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine here. So the hands of the so it's cast when the kerchief is draped over the hands of the betrothed. We'll say during the wedding. We'll just say during the wedding. Boom, there we go. Great, it's perfect. There, I actually really like that. I was worried that ceremony would end up being a lot of work because of all these separate ones, but just the way it's written was like really straightforward and easy. So cool, real cool. Great stuff. Go team. Yeah, so let's do another one. Let's just keep going, man. I'm having fun with this stuff. I really hope other people find these streams of mine and have fun with them, because I really have a lot of fun just being creative with this type of stuff. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea doing like these types of homebrew mechanics and stuff like that, but boy, I just love it. And there's something satisfying about methodically just working our way through the list of all the spells and eventually creating, all of these items, or rather all of these enchantment versions of all of these spells and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So Mage Armor, you touch a willing creature who isn't wearing armor, and a protective magical force surrounds it until the spell ends. Target's base AC becomes 13 plus its dexterity modifier. The spell ends if the target dons armor or if you dismiss the spell as an action. I really like this. I have a great idea for this that I think will be awesome. I think that this should be put on weapons primarily, and I will discuss why. So this is going to be Mage Armor, and yeah, I really think that this is a actually a best used as an armor, or a weapon enchantment, excuse me, and I will say why. Okay, so on weapons, when you aren't wearing, let's see here, when you wield the weapon while not wearing armor, a protective magical force surrounds you. We'll say surrounds you until the spell ends. We'll say your base AC, right? Because this is the first person. It's whoever's holding and using it. So your base AC becomes 13 plus your dexterity modifier. The spell ends if you don armor, or if you dismiss, or if you sheath the weapon. Or if you, we'll say sheath, if you sheath or otherwise cease holding the weapon. And I'm gonna get rid of as an action, and we'll just say or cease holding a weapon. So if the weapon gets knocked out of your hands, you'll lose it, or if you put the weapon away, it goes away. So it's just like you draw the weapon and it gives you a force field or something like that. Like, I think that's really rad, and I think that this one should be a weapon thing, exactly for that reason. And I think this is really cool. Hold on, the one thing that I do want to check here, duration 8 hours. So like we can put that in there, and we'll say cease holding the weapon with duration 8 hours. I think it's functionally not really a big deal, because like it'll come off when they put the weapon away. And so what I think is interesting about that is it'll still make them, you know, extra without wearing armor, right? They'll still be sort of extra susceptible to like surprise and sneak attacks, right? Because they won't have their weapon drawn. So like ambushes can still do a thing to them. And so I think this is really cool. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that'll work just fine. Because like when you think about 8 hours, right? 8 hours is a long time, right? It's a long time for Mage Armor to be active. So even though it's not a cantrip and you can't cast it at will, I mean, that's like a full day. So as long as everyone goes to bed at night, you can just you can almost cast that one at will. You just have to use one level 1 spell slot. So I don't think it's overpowered to just let it be every time you draw the weapon, you get that Mage Armor. Because like the idea also, because we're saying while not wearing armor, so it's almost like it creates like a layer of armor directly on your skin. And so if you're wearing armor, that will like that will override it or something like that. So I think that's the other caveat, right? Anyone even with light armor, anyone with like cloth armor won't really be able to feel the effects of this. So I think that's great. I think that's great just as it is. So now if sentient, so I actually also gave myself, let's go ahead and just like head back here. I also gave myself some basic guidelines for how to, generally speaking, approach good, evil, lawful, chaotic for sentience, and then cursed things, right? So for the good, I always say something extra that's good for the user, evil, something extra that's bad for others, right? It's sort of the idea that I had, because like a good, like an evil item doesn't necessarily mean that it wants to harm the user, right? An evil item might still want to help its you know, master or whatever, but it will do it in a more malicious way, which is, to me, that just sounds like, you know, that's where the whole concept of doing something extra that's bad for others, right? So it's just like really malicious and it will do something bad to others. And then lawful, something extra that focuses the effect. And my idea for that is really just trying to think about what the conceptual opposite of chaotic is. Because chaotic, something extra that broadens the effect, right? It diffuses the power amongst others, right? So it's like usually there's some sort of splash or blowback from a chaotic item. So the opposite of that, conceptually, for lawful is something that like focuses it, right? So it's almost like, assume you have a flashlight. Chaotic is a filter that broadens the scope of that flashlight, right? Makes the beam a bit wider, if a bit shorter. Whereas lawful would be almost like kind of zeroing in that focus and making it more of a laser-like focus or something like that is the idea for those. So that kind of helps keep some consistency about how we approach writing lawful versus chaotic sentient items, or really sentient items in general when we also consider the good and evil. And then curse, effect is twice as powerful in favor of user, blowback is half as powerful against user, and then attempted removal is twice as powerful against user. Again, that's a general one. There are a lot of spells where that won't really be the formula that we can use, but that's sort of the way I like to do it. So it's like the general blowback is like it happens, but not enough to hopefully deter a player from thinking about like, treading the line and using using it anyway, because that effect is twice as much. But then if you attempt to get rid of it, it'll basically use whatever it can do against you. Because like you're supposed to be with it, like it's bound itself to you, it's tied itself to you. So those are the notes that I have there, just worth kind of reminding ourselves of those as we're going. And so for this one, so for sentience, good. Something good for the user. So we'll say, so something extra that's like helps the user. And so my thought is, so I mean the initial idea is that AC becomes maybe like 14, right? So it's like extra determined or something along those lines. So let's do. Actually, here's what I have. The item is very protective of the wearer, and we'll say it's just very protective of the wearer. When the wearer sheathes the weapon, the armor stays active for 10 minutes beyond. ... Just in case. We'll just do something like that. I mean, that's just fine. And then, so then for the evil thing, something bad for the enemy. Right, so my thought for this initially is that like, what I want to say is, the armor, we'll say the magical armor also makes the wielder harder to grip. Oh, actually, let's say this. It makes the wielder more elusive. Anyone attempting to grapple the wearer or the user makes checks at a disadvantage, right? So it's like if someone tries to grapple and grip it, they have to do it at disadvantage, which depending on the battle could be significant or could be meaningless. Which is why, even though that does kind of on the surface feel a little OP to me, I'm willing to have it there at the very least, and then we can like rebalance if it ends up being in practice not quite right. But as a baseline, I like that. I think that's good. I think that's really good, and I'm happy with it. So, perfect. All right. So now if it's lawful, being extra focused in, I think what I want to do is we'll say, so lawful, the item is particularly focused for the user. And what I want to say here, this is a little complicated, but I think it's really cool. Base AC becomes 14 plus dex for enemies in front of the user. 13 plus dex for enemies next to the user. And then we'll say or 12 plus dex for enemies behind the user. So I think what's interesting about that one is it could actually present a disadvantage to the user for it to be like that, unless they're paying attention to the battlefield, in which case they could probably work on, if they're clever with battlefield space manipulation and stuff like that, that could actually turn into a really interesting extra powerful item. So I think that one's really cool. And so what I want to do here then for chaotic, the item, we'll say the item doesn't handle crowds well. We'll say AC will be 14 plus dex towards whatever. Well, okay, so this, I don't want to make it too complicated, because my thought is that it will have that extra powerful thing, kind of like what is happening for the lawful one. It'll have that slightly extra powerful thing, but it'll follow an enemy around. So it's if an enemy catches on, one enemy might, keep it distracted. Actually, okay, I think we can do that. I think we can do that. And crowds will become 14 plus dex. 14 plus dex for the first enemy to hit the user, but will be 12 plus dex for all others until the initial target is killed, then defaults back to to 13 plus dex. So do it like that. So that is a little complicated, but I think it's fine. I think it's fun, and if players don't like that, then we can always just workshop it, right? If that's too much work for them, you can always workshop it. But I actually really like that idea. I think that's a really cool idea. And so then, if cursed, so the extra powerful benefit, so the idea of it being twice as powerful doesn't exactly translate really well, because it's what am I going to do? AC becomes 26 plus dex. So that's, what we're going to do is, we'll say base AC becomes, we'll say, let's do, I have an idea. 15 plus dex. Base AC becomes 15 plus dex, right? So you're even harder to hit with it. Problematic side effect. And we'll say when the user is hit, it's we'll say when the user is hit, the armor sends an energy spike through the user, causing an additional 1d4 damage, right? So it's I feel like actually if we're gonna do that, let's do 1d6 damage. I feel like that's it's hard to know exactly how to balance that type of thing where there's blowback damage, but I think that's I think that works. And yeah, that's good. I feel like that one might need a little bit of tweaking if I ever actually use it, right? If we actually use it and kind of get that sample of how it actually works, that one might need tweaking. But as just a concept, I think it's good, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it like that. So what it takes to remove, be removed magically. If the player tries to remove If the player tries to remove without magic, the item, let's just say this, we'll say the weapon will refuse to provide armor for 24 hours. So it's like if you try to get rid of it, it won't let you, right? It's like a cursed item, so you can't get rid of it. And my thought is always, if someone like has, so like a cursed sword or something like that, that they can't get, like it has to be removed magically, my thought is that either sort of like if you think about doing that, suddenly you'll feel like a magical compulsion, or even better, if you try to ditch the item or give it to someone else, as soon as you're not looking, the item will just sort of magically teleport itself back onto your person. So it's like if you have a dagger, right, and you try to get rid of it, so you just like stick it in the ground and try to walk away. As soon as you try to walk away, you'll find the dagger back, you know, attached to your belt. Or if you give it to someone, that person might put it in their pack, and then suddenly you feel it on your belt, and if you look in the pack, it's gone, right? So like that's kind of my idea about how all these things would end up working. Because the thing is we're talking about a world of magic. We can do whatever the hell we want, right? Like it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want with it. So that's how I want to do it, and I think it's great. I think it's really great. Yeah, that's really good. I actually really like that one. Let's come up with just a sample item. And so what I want to just do is, like, my first thought is like it's just a sword. Or rather, actually even better is my first thought is it would be more like a monk item or a monk weapon or something like that. So like a quarterstaff, right? So we'll call it the protective staff, maybe. We'll say protective staff. And what we'll say is often used as walking sticks or canes by those who have enemies, is popular among people looking for a way to looking for a way to stay protected while appearing unarmed and unprotected. Is a cane or quarterstaff. Yeah, is a cane or quarterstaff imbued with the spell. Boom, there we go. Simple as that. Again, sort of like a specialized tool that's almost more of a status symbol, right? Because it's the type of thing where it's like, if you're actually in danger and there are people trying to kill you, you probably have different things going on than just like walking down the street and worried if someone's going to come up to you with a bat. So it's always more of a status symbol, right? Someone who's like the owner of a business is like, don't try and rob my place. I got my stick of my walking stick of protection here, right? And so it's like I feel like that's kind of the state or the common use of an item like this would be for most people. But I just, in general, I actually really like the idea of an item that provides a bit of shielding or a bit of armor for someone. I just think that's really cool. I think it's really cool. Okay, I need to pause really quickly. I have to run to the bathroom. But we're going to continue doing this once I get back. So sit tight. I'll leave you here with the music, and I will be back very shortly. All right. I have returned from my epic journey to the Wiz Palace, as it were, and I'm feeling much better. So, great. Thank you for the patience. I always appreciate it. It's always helpful when I can go to the bathroom. It's a good thing. All right. Anyway, let's see here. Okay, yeah, we got to come up with another spell. Man, we're cruising right along. We're making some good ones here. Protection from evil. Wait, what is it in total? Show me the full name of the freaking spell. What on earth? Protection from evil and good. Okay. Good lord. What a strange thing. They didn't have any sort of contingency to like hover over and view the full title of it. Okay, so protection from evil and good. It's also weird that they did it protection from evil and good. Wouldn't people typically say from good and evil? Like, doesn't that roll off the tongue a little bit better? Whatever. Protection. Why does that roll off the tongue better? How does that feel? Like, do you suppose that's related? Hold on, like, is that related to, so like there are certain orders of vowels that sound better to us, like why like tick tock sounds better than talk tick, right? And it just has to do with like sort of like an unspoken, like it's an undefined but still kind of subtly understood rule of the English language where it's like certain vowel sounds sound better when they're before others. So there's like this hierarchy that exists of when things go. So like good, evil, right? Or like evil instead of like evil or something like that, right? Evil. I don't know. It's weird. Like I know there's something about it. So from evil and good. There we go. Yeah, I know there's something about that exists. Like it's a real thing that people have sort of like studied and analyzed before. But Lord help me, I don't know what it would be. Lord help me. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at the nature of the spell. Until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is protected against certain types of creatures, aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The protection grants several benefits. Creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. If the target is already charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature, the target has advantage on a new saving throw against the relevant effect. Okay, I have an idea for this one. I already have an idea for this. I think this will work. I have an idea for this. So let's copy. Let's head over here. I'm going to put it on... We're going to say on worn items. On worn items. That. There we go. And then, boom. Actually, I'm going to say on worn items, preferably that can be easily donned and doffed like a ring or a hat, right? So it's like preferably something like that, but really on any worn item. Let's see here. Until the spell ends, when one willing creature puts on the item, one willing creature can put on the item, and one willing creature puts on the item and is protected against certain types of creatures: aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. So it's like you put it on and you gain that protection. And we'll say when the spell wears off, the item must be removed to be used again. Can only be used once per day. So you can't just like, have a ring on and just like get in the habit of fiddling with your ring and just be like off, on, and have infinite protection. Nah, none of that. That ain't gonna fly. I ain't cool with that. Don't abuse my good graces of creating these items. The protection grants several benefits. Creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. If the target is already charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature, the target has advantage on any new saving throw against the relevant effect. So, like, if you're already there, like if you're doing a save to become unpossessed or whatever, right? Because it's like usually you can say, like, at the end of each turn, you can try and save. So I think that's great. I think that's perfect as is. We just sort of modify that a little bit there. And so my immediate thought is, again, the ring. I kind of like the hat idea, but we'll say ring of aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends. I'm gonna say ring of spirit warding or something like that. Call it that. Ring of spirit warding, right? So it's like, it just, because that's kind of what it does, right? It protects you from spirits like celestial, aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The spell wears off. The item must be removed to be used again. Can only be used once per day. Yeah, I think that's good. So we'll say ring of spirit warding. We'll say often purchased by the supernatural, or not supernatural, the superstitious is what I'm thinking of. Stitious. Where is it? There it is. Often purchased by the superstitious, who wish to have an emergency protection from perceived ethereal threats. There we go. I like that. Often purchased by the superstitious who wish to have an emergency protection from perceived ethereal threats. Great. I think that's excellent. Yeah. Let's see here. Putting the ring on casts the spell. Yeah, and like that's just like what it does. Like you just put it on and it casts the spell, and that's great. That's kind of all that it is, right? What the spell is. So okay, so here's what I want to say. So sentient, if it's good, my thought is, if it's good, we'll say, we'll offer reassurances for the wearer. So it's just like it tries to comfort you. And the effect here is protection against protection, several benefits. Creatures of this type have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. Target also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. Target is already, they gain advantage. So I'm trying to think. Like, we'll offer reassurances to the wearer. Like, how does that translate to an actual functional benefit? Because I like there to be something extra, like I say, extra functional about it. Is kind of what I like. I like that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to think what would be a good way. We'll offer reassurance to the wearer. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. We'll give the wearer advantage on because what I thought was like maybe it gives the wearer advantage, but it's like how does reassurance for the wearer do that, right? Let's see, there can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. Because it kind of already, just the nature of it kind of gives players all of the benefits and bonuses you could get, you know, already from those things. We'll just say advantage on any checks that may relate to conversation with the creature, and we'll do like parentheses s maybe. So it's because it would be like such as intimidation or persuasion, if talking to a spirit, or to a talking to the creature, right? So it's like it'll let you do that, right? It'll give you, so it's like a really vague thing, but like, you know, that can be a fun role-playing exercise for you and your players or something like that. And that's fine. And so then evil, what I think I want to do is will encourage user or wearer to go on the offensive, will offer wearer advantage on attacks against the enemy. Again, we'll do the parentheses s there, because that's like a sophisticated way of being, you know, plural or singular. All right, so then if it's lawful, right, so something that's a bit more focused, so we'll say here, is discerning between friends and enemies, if an ally, and I guess it kind of doesn't matter, because an ally wouldn't really try to charm or possess you or anything like that, right? So yeah, because it's like against the target, which is like, so we'll have disadvantage on attack rolls. I actually got to change this against the wearer. So let's just edit that there. So let's see. We'll say lawful means an undead when the spell wears off the item. I'm trying to think again like how it could be more focused, and sometimes it's easier to just do the chaotic first, right? So it's like chaotic is extra paranoid. So we'll say is extra paranoid about everyone. We'll say wearer has protection against all creatures in the area, but let's see here, but only has advantage on saves against being charmed, frightened, or possessed. So it's like the thing is like it's super paranoid, so it doesn't matter who's, so it's like everyone that's around. It doesn't have to be any of those types, but it's a little less effective because it's just so scattered, right? So it's like you only have advantage on those, and then so maybe then the lawful is we'll say we'll pick out what it believes to be the biggest threat, biggest threat, so mechanically we'll say choose one type of creature, and offers the wearer advantage on attacks. So it's like choosing just one type, then you can have advantage on your attacks, but then, you know, everything else is normal. I think that's okay. That's kind of a hard one to conceptualize. I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. Because this one, like, the benefit, like, there's something that kind of gets taken away, right? Because it's only a disadvantage. But the idea is basically you could put that on any time and get, you know, some advantage on those types of things, right? So it's almost like it's protecting you against the effect rather than the type of enemy. So that's a pretty big bonus, right? Because you can use that against anyone. Anyone that doesn't fit the format or the definition of those other groups that we're getting our protection from. So I think that's good. I think that's good. I'm good with it. I'll go with that. I will go with that. All right. So now if it's cursed, I think what I'm going to say here is offers the described protections against any enemies in the area. And like, I'm not going to define area because I'm just talking about broadly. So it's just basically like, I mean, if it's any creatures, it doesn't really matter. But like, the idea is that I don't know, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying that because it's flavor now that I'm thinking about it. Because it's like, you're just like, the limiter is time, right? Not like how big the range of effect is. Because it's more like it casts it on you anyway. Because it's like controlling your emotions about it is the way I see it. But I don't know. Whatever. Offers the described protections against any enemies in the area. And I think what I'll say is only lasts for no, like, I don't want it to necessarily be really short. But yes, I do. I think I do want to do that because then it makes it so that players have to be much more discerning about how they, well, no, there's got to be something else. We'll say only lasts 5 minutes, which is still a significant amount of time when we're talking about in combat. Only lasts 5 minutes. When the spell, let's do this. When the spell wears off, player has disadvantage on let's see here. Disadvantage on saves, and enemies have advantage on attacks. We'll say for 5 minutes. So it's like if you put it on and use it, you have 5 minutes of like extra protection, but then when you take it off, you're vulnerable. So you gotta hope that you can like. So basically, when it's like it wears off, it's like you better hope that fight is done or that situation is through. And so what it takes to remove, trying to abandon. Oh wait, hold on. We gotta say must be used or must be removed magically if wearer tries to abandon the item. Their heart will be stricken with let's see here. I'm trying to think about like how I want to do this because my thought is that it will just like one of these things that it normally makes you immune to it will cause one of those things. So you could do possession, right? The ring will possess you to grab it and refuse to part with it. So I like, actually, yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, if it tries to abandon the item, it will possess them for, forcing them to do whatever it takes to get the item back. So it's like it's got a real one ring to rule them all type of vibe, right? Where it's like it'll poison your mind and it'll possess you, and like you will hurt your friends, you will kill your own mother to get that item back, right? Like you do not have a choice unless it's removed magically, unless you have someone who can help you break the curse, right? You're just stuck with this thing. I like that a lot. I think that's a good one. I think that's a really good one. Yeah. Cool. All right, Sanctuary. That's the Quasimodo spell. A hunchback comes out, brings you into a church, and starts running around the rafters yelling Sanctuary. Anyone else read the book Hunchback of Notre Dame? Like everyone's seen the Disney movie version of that story, right? Of Quasimodo, where it's like, you know, he's cartoonishly ugly because it's a cartoon, but he's got like the voice of a god, and he's just like actually kind of like, oh, he's actually like super handsome if you just get past like the one big eye, right? Like they kind of make him still like charming and stuff. Like everyone knows that, but like when you actually read the book, like Quasi is a little out there, which one might expect, like a life of abuse, right? At being a perceived freak, so to speak, by everyone in town, who like everyone at town just hates you. They want to stone you. They hate you, right? Like, yeah, of course you'd be a little insane, but that's like when Esmeralda, like when she first like seeks sanctuary in the church, that's like him rescuing her because he's in love with her. But yeah, like he brings her to the church, and he just like spends a half hour just running around the church, like through the upper levels, through the rafters, like screaming sanctuary. Because that's how he protects her, right? Because there's the rule of sanctuary. It's like no one can be killed or punished or arrested in the church. Like the church is a place of sanctuary. Anyone, for any reason, can find safety in the church, which, like, is kind of a bad idea. I mean, I guess the idea is that it's like you're basically electing self-imprisonment, and the hope is that, like, by being in the church and being around the holy people, perhaps it will repent and you'll eventually give yourself up, right? And it's not exactly a great place to live unless someone's like providing you food or something. But the idea is just that anyone, for any reason, can seek sanctuary in the church and it will be honored, right? And so it's like this crowd wants to kill Esmeralda for being a witch or something like that. And so Quasi goes and saves her. And then, yeah, he just like prances around the church for like 20 minutes just screaming sanctuary. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know why that scene sticks out in my mind, especially because it was a book, right? It's not even like a visual that I saw, but when I read that in high school, I just like was so baffled by the way the scene was described, and so it just stuck with me because it's such a ridiculous, it's such an absurd, insane scene, right? I don't know. Anyway, sanctuary. You ward a creature within range against attack. Unless the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or a harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. The spell doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects, such as the explosion of a fireball. The warded creature makes an attack, casts a spell that affects an enemy or deals damage to another creature. The spell ends. Okay. Yeah. This is an easy one. I think. So we'll copy that and head over here. Sanctuary. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to recopy it because I got to copy and paste this. I forgot to do that. Beans. That's on me. That's my bad. Sanctuary. And this one is, again, we're going to put this one on wearable items. I'm going to actually just copy and paste on worn items, preferably. Yeah, I think this is going to be the situation because it's going to be like a warding hat or a warding ring. Oops. On unworn items. There we go. On worn items, preferably that can be easily donned and doffed like a ring or a hat. All right. Pew. And now we can go up. We'll go back. Just copy that again. And then we'll paste it. Paste! I done pasted it. Alright. Bullet it because I need it to look just right, man. Gotta have it look right. I can't. Bothers me if it's not. It bothers me if it doesn't look right. It just drives me insane. Okay. You ward a creature within range against attack. So what we'll say is the wearer is warded against attack. When the item is put on, the spell is cast. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. This doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects such as explosion from a fireball. So you can, like, put a hat of warding on, and, like, the hat is just so charming that, you know, like, you gotta make a wisdom save. Otherwise, you'll be like, oh, well, I can't hurt you. You've got that funny hat on. It jingles. It's like a little jester hat, right? Or something like that. Or like a ring, and they look at it, and they're like, oh, my God, that stone is divine. I simply cannot harm the hand wearing that ring. Like, that's how I like to imagine the flavor of it works, right? Where it's just like someone is just like absolutely enamored with it and just cannot stomach the idea of harming someone who would look so stunning and dapper or whatever it is. I don't know. If the warded creature makes an attack, casts a spell that affects an enemy, or deals damage to another creature, I'm going to say one other thing. Makes an attack, casts a spell that affects an enemy, we'll say removes the item, or deals damage to another creature. Actually, what we're going to say, I'm going to change that just because we'll say deals damage to another creature or removes the item. Just because I think thematically it makes sense to leave the deals damage next to casting a spell or making an attack roll or something like that. It just thematically it makes sense. But then if you remove the item, it'll also remove the spell, obviously. I mean, that's the concept of how an enchanted imbibed item works, right? You put it on, it does the thing. If you take it off, then it doesn't do the thing. But yeah, I think that's it's as simple as that. I think that's all we need to do. And so just like a sample of how this might look as an item, right? We'll call this, like, we'll maybe do, what did we do last time? We did the Ring of Spirit Warding. And this one, just in general, we can call this one, oh, here we go. This will be kind of goofy. Sanctuary Cap. It's a Sanctuary Cap. A hat that, when worn, casts the Sanctuary spell on the wearer. And one thing I want to say, I'm going to say once per day when put on, the wearer is warded against attack. We can do it that way because that'll help limit it. We don't want it to be, again, like, we don't want, like, so we're trying to create just, like, you know, imbibement, so we can have, like, fun items that will do extra bonus little things for players as they find, just to kind of, like, reward them, especially with these low level spells that we're kind of turning into enchantments. We want to reward players earlier in the game with cool, fun, unique magic items, you know, sooner than when they're going to start getting, like, the really cool legendary items that are in the rules as written. We want to give them those types of things, but we don't want to create a situation like with this one where they can just, like, you know, like with the other one, if it's on a ring, we don't want them to be able to just, like, have the ring and it's like, you know, oh, the spell wore off, all right, ring off, ring back on, and spell is back. It's like we gotta limit that in some way, shape, or form. So we just, you know, say, like, yeah, it can only be done once a day, and then the item needs to recharge or whatever. And you just do that way, and that really helps limit it, so they can strategically think about, like, oh, it would be really nice to have a little bit of extra protection in this battle that I'm currently getting just completely wasted during. You know, if you do stuff like that, then that can help kind of keep it balanced and stuff, but it can give them something fun to use. So I think that works really well. So now what happens if it, so, oh wait, a hat that when worn, casts a Sanctuary spell on the wearer. It's a very charming hat. Even without magic, one might have a tough time, a touch time? That's an entirely different thing we're talking about there. A touch time. That's a different stream right there. Might have a tough time attacking. It's very charming. Even without magic, one might have a tough time attacking the wearer, even without the associated magic. There we go. I think that's great. I think that's funny. I like it. I like it like that. Alright, good, there we go. So we got that. So now, if your item is sentient, right? If it can think and make decisions to try and help you out a little extra. So if it's good, again, so like the idea is, If it's good, it'll do something extra that helps that's good for the wearer. Or if it's evil, it'll do something extra that is bad to like the targets or to the enemies or something like that, right? Is kind of the generalized approach, which is a little difficult for these types of protective ones, because it's like, how do you have something that's protective do extra bad things to an enemy? But I think I have an idea or two. So if it's good, let's see here. A wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. So let's say, so it's good. The item is just too charming and disarming. If attacker fails the wisdom save, they cannot even they can only lose lose like luge. They can only lose the attack or spell, not retarget it, right? So it's like, it's just too charming. The hat is just too charming, right? And so it's like, you can't, like, even so, as long as they fail their wisdom save, they can't even choose someone different to attack with it. They just have to be like, oh, I can't do it. I can't attack. I can't do it. If it's evil, the item, we'll say, let's do this. The item is really mean to the attacker. If the attacker fails the wisdom save, and if the attacker fails the wisdom save and targets another enemy, they have disadvantage on the attack. Yeah, they have disadvantage on the attack because their self-esteem is so damaged. So it's like, if they fail that, then like, oh boy, they just, oh yeah, it's I really like that idea. Actually, it's just like a ring that protects you by being super mean to your enemies, which actually is like my favorite idea in general. Like, it's just like, oh gosh, I don't know, that'd be really fun. I'm gonna have to give that to my players at some point in time. I think that'd be so funny, right? Like, just like you're wearing, like, you've got a necklace that when someone targets you, the necklace just like shouts things so mean and so nasty, like so 12-year-old playing Call of Duty, right? That like any enemy would be like, would just like feel really dejected. And even the wearer is kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll talk to him once we're done killing you guys. I'll have a talk with him. That's just inappropriate. That was he took it too far. Like, I really like that idea. Okay, lawful. So again, the way I like to do the sentient things, if I'm going to give it sentience, I kind of like to approach it from an idea of like, because chaotic, like the chaotic is an easier one for me to think about, right? Because it's like, chaotic is, it like, it has a wider, like, it's less focused in its power, so the power might be diffused a little bit, but it has a broader scope of who it hits or something along those lines. And so lawful can kind of be like hard to think about, conceptualize, like how would that have any impact on how the spell works or how the enchantment works. And for me, I like to think about it as like just the opposite of chaotic, so it just kind of like makes it more laser focused. So if I'm looking at this, once per day when put on, the wearer is warded against attack. When the item is put on, the spell is cast until the spell ends. Actually, wait, hold on. Put on the wearer. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that sentence. I just realized there's a little redundancy there. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is lawful. The item is very discerning about the danger of the enemies present. What we'll do is we'll say we'll provide extra protection against the the highest. Let's see, this is going to be a little complicated mechanically, but what I'm thinking is like the highest CR rating enemy, or if they're all the same amount, then it would do this for the same for all of them, right? So it's like in a boss battle, this actually might be kind of a negative thing to do. Against the highest CR rated enemies, we'll say enemy, we'll do like the plural in case, because if there's multiple, like implying if there's multiple of the same challenge rating, it'll do that. Provide extra attention and CR enemies, requiring, oh my goodness gracious, there we go. Requiring they make their save at disadvantage, while offering no protection against any weaker enemies present, right? So it's gonna like really protect you. So maybe that's what you want against a boss battle, right? So it's like against the boss is gonna have a really tough time hitting you, so then you can serve as like the guy who just like focuses on the little minions that are running around. It's like, you know, you aggro, or not aggro, it's like you aggro the boss or something like that and keep the boss focused on you, where he's gonna have a hard time, so then maybe everyone else can mop up the others. So it's like there's strategic ways to use this. So I think that this one, though it's a little complicated, I kind of like the nature of that. I think that'll work. And so for the chaotic, again, the idea of it being like it's more diffuse. And so what's interesting, what's kind of tough about this one is it just sort of like as a baseline, on a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. This doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects. So what I think I want to do for this one is chaotic. We'll say views everyone and everything as a threat. Well, no, because it's really only negative. I was gonna say will also impact, will also like make it so if someone is trying to help you, they have to make a wisdom save, but I feel like that would actually be more of a curse type of thing, because that's really only negative. And I really like the sentience to be like the thing is trying to help you in some way. Like if it's an evil thing, it's still trying to help you. It's just a dick about it, right? And so it's like if it's chaotic, it's like it's spastic, but it's still trying to help. It's kind of the idea. Like the item, oh, it means well. Bless its heart, it means well. So it's like it's unfocused, it's spastic, or something along those lines. So for this one, I don't know. You put on the wearer's word against the attack. Word against attack, until the spell ends, any creature who targets the word creature with an attack or harmful spell must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, creature must choose a new target or lose the attack spell. This doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects such as explosion of a fireball. Okay, so here's what I have an idea. Chaotic. The attacker has a disadvantage on the wisdom save, but has to retarget against something. We'll say it has to retarget against, we'll say, actually, let's do this. Let's not even say disadvantage. The attacker, so we'll say the item is only good at deflecting rather than diffusing the situation. On failed save, the attacker has to retarget, target to the nearest creature, be it friend or foe. So the idea is like the item, it forces the redirect. Like you cannot resist being like redirecting. It has to be that way. And so so it's like, yeah, I think that works. I think that's interesting. Like you don't like the creature doing the attacking can't just like not attack if there are no enemies nearby. It has to hit the nearest enemy to the wearer. which just kind of sows a lot of chaos into the battlefield, which is not only, you know, on brand because we're talking about a chaotic personality of a sentient item, right? But the other thing about it too is it does my favorite thing, which is it sows all kinds of chaos in battle. I love chaos in battle. As a DM, as a player, I don't care. The more chaotic, the more insane the battlefield, the more bizarre crap is going on in battle, the more I love the battle. I love it. I love it when someone is possessed and has to attack their own teammates. I love it when there's wild magic going on. I love it when the environment is falling apart and blowing up and people are on fire and stuff like that. I love that. I love it so much, and I will always encourage that in any scenario whenever I can. I just love it. I just love it. It's such good stuff. Such good stuff that way. So, yeah, I think that's great. So now if this item is cursed, what do we do if the item is cursed? So extra benefit with some sort of drawback. So what I think I want to do here is, so what we'll say is all creatures have disadvantage when targeting the wearer. Have disadvantage on wisdom save. Like, we got to clarify that because it's like meant to be on the save, so it's like going to be really hard for so all creatures have disadvantage on wisdom save when targeting the wearer, right? And what we're going to say, the problematic side effect for that is includes friends trying to do anything helpful for the wearer. We'll say such as buffs or healing. So it's just like the cursed item makes it really hard for anyone to do anything for you. And then what it takes to remove. So as always, must be removed magically. If wearer tries to abandon the item, it will what I think I want to do is it will invoke the ward anytime an ally tries to help for the next 24 hours. So the idea is like if you try to do it, the thing will just basically try to isolate you, because like my thought is that the cursed item is essentially trying to demonstrate like, no, I control you. Without me, you have nothing. I can take everything from you. Like, that's kind of the attitude of the item. It's just like taking that approach, which is diabolical and sinister and horrible, and I think it's perfect for a cursed item. A little less dire than what a lot of cursed items kind of end up doing the way I write them, but I think it's good. I think it'll work. I like that. I like this item. I like this enchantment, this rune system. I think that's fun. So, great. Okay, looking at the time, we've definitely got time for at least one more. I'm going to do at least one more. I'm on a roll, man. I'm having fun with this today. I know the crowds are small today, and so other people aren't super into it like I am, but honestly, I really don't even mind. I'm just having so much fun here. Having so much fun doing these things. It's really, I really like doing these things. These are fun, creative exercises, and these are the types of things that even if you don't know how useful they'll be in your game, I encourage people to do these kinds of things. Like if you're trying to write your own worlds, do your own world building, and create your own games, I encourage you to do little projects and little exercises like this, because I really think that they kind of help get your mind working in a way that encourages using the rules as they are to promote creating the game you're trying to create, right? So it's like, even if you don't want to use homebrew rule sets like this, you know, doing these types of creative things, trying to think about how you can use what's provided to create something else, can be a really good exercise if you're trying to think about like trying to use just the setting of D&D and create your own world for it, right? Or if you're trying to create puzzles or traps or things like that, just like taking what's provided and molding it, I think is such a good a good thing to do if you're trying to write your own, like if you're trying to be a DM doing homebrew settings and worlds and stuff like that, because that's kind of what the whole process is, right? You're taking an existing rule set and you're trying to warp it and mold it and shape it to create the game that you want to create, even if you're using the rules as written, right? You're still doing a lot of changing of things. And you, like, sometimes that's coming up with stuff from scratch and sometimes it's modifying what it is, but it's just like doing these exercises that get you used to thinking, okay, how do I take something and create the experience that I want to provide for my players, right? I think these are just really good activities, and I really hope a lot of writers who do make, who are writing campaigns for their friends and family and their groups are doing these types of exercises and stuff. Like, that's what I consider this. I consider this an exercise, right? It's kind of like for me, doing this is kind of like running as part of my training for kickboxing and rock climbing. It's like, does kickboxing involve running for 20 minutes? No, it does not. But it does keep you fit and it keeps you healthy, and it's an exercise that helps you in other ways that do translate to what you're doing, right? So it's like, I view this as kind of that, and I hope other people recognize that and see the benefit of doing these types of things. So anyway, that's why I insist upon doing it, even if like no one's watching, because I do know that sometimes people are around, and sometimes people just don't show up and watch, and that's just like a matter of the day. It's like, hell, we've got nice weather out here. No one around here is probably sitting inside watching stuff. They're outside. It's a beautiful day. I'm the weirdo who's sitting here at his computer on a beautiful day. So it's like, that's just how it goes. But I hope other people recognize that there's benefits to doing these types of things. So anyway, shield. An invisible barrier of magical force appears and protects you till the start of your next turn. You have a +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, and you take no damage from magic missile. I love just the specificity of that one. Also, magic missile doesn't do anything to you. Like, oh, well, okay, great. Shield is an easy one. I think this one's going to be easy. Shield. And we'll say, and this one I'm going to say, this one can really be on any item. On, let's see, there we go. Any item. Do that. Let's go ahead and just copy it because it's the easiest way to do it. I think this one's going to be really easy. We'll do that. An invisible barrier. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm actually going to change my mind because I think I've got a fun idea for this one. I'm going to change this to on any worn item. An invisible, so we'll say, wait, hold on. First off, I need to bullet point this. We'll say once per day as a bonus reaction, right? So it doesn't cost the user anything, right? It just happens. So once per day as a bonus reaction, an invisible barrier of magical force appears and protects you. In response to a hit from an enemy. Until the start of your next turn, you have a +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, and you take no damage from magic missile. So I think, like, the idea is just like you basically just have like an emergency one-shot protective shield. So basically, like, it's really hard to get any sort of surprise or sneak attack on you, right? Because this thing will just magically protect you. And I think that's just as simple as it needs to be. It's on a worn item, and it'll just, like, automatically do that. So you might have, like, a breastplate of shield. And so I'm going to call this one. So I'm going to, like, as a sample item here, right, we're going to go ahead and just do, we'll do shielding vest or something like that, right? Because, like, the idea of a level 1 is, like, a commoner who's maybe a bit wealthier, their own business, someone who owns their own business might be able to afford these types of items and use them almost as like a status symbol. So it's like a shielding vest or a shielding jacket or something like that. A vest worn that can offer protection to a surprise attack. And we'll say popular among guards or we'll say yeah, we'll just say guards. Popular among guards in particularly dangerous cities. Boom, just do something like that. Right, they might put on that jacket underneath their under or over their armor or something like that. Like, I almost view this as being like wearing a discreet bulletproof vest or something like that. Like, is it gonna save your life in an all-out firefight where someone's just like unloading on you? Probably not. But if someone, like, you know, tries to catch you off guard or something like that in a dangerous location, might do the trick. Might do the trick. And so that's kind of like how I see this. Like, it's basically a magical bulletproof vest or something like that. A magical Kevlar vest. That it's like, it'll get you one. It'll get you one for sure. And then after that, it's like, you know, we'll see. But it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I think that's all we need. And so now, if sentient, so if it's sentient, if it's good, right? So something a little extra to for the player. So what I want to do is will tell the wearer where the hit came from, offers player advantage on attack if used on their next turn to attack the one who triggered the spell. So it's like if you use it as a retaliation, like whatever your next attack, even if it's like you can like if you like, you know, if you have like the sentinel trait or something. Well, those sentinels only if it attacks someone else, but it's like there are traits where like are special abilities where it's like, you know, if you get hit, you can as a reaction attack back. So it's like if you do that, or on your next turn, you know, on your next turn you turn around and retaliate, it'll give you advantage on that. And I think that's kind of good. That like helps the player. And then if it's actually, you know what? I'm actually going to make that evil because it's almost more of like a revenge thing, right? That's almost a bad thing for the enemy, right? Because it helps you attack. So we'll play, and so what I actually want to say, offers player a free disengage action to get out of harm's way. Actually, I'm gonna say we'll offer player a free disengage reaction to get out of harm's way, if used immediately, right? So it's like if that gets triggered and you, the first thing you say is like, oh, I'd like to run and get out of the way, it's like it'll tell you where the hit came from, and so you can like quickly get out of the way and avoid any further attacks or something like that. I think that's good. So then lawful is like kind of, again, it like tries, it's kind of like a more focused thing, right? And so it's like including against the triggering attack until the start of your next turn, you have a +5 bonus to AC. So what I'm going to say is lawful will focus energy where attack came from. We'll say offers +8 bonus AC, but only towards the initial attacker, right? So it's a little bit riskier. In fact, I'm actually going to make that even better because it's like such a narrow thing. So it's like if you get mobbed, you're in trouble, but if there's just one attacker, then like boy oh boy, you're gonna be good. And then chaotic, I think the chaotic is sort of panics, sort of panics, and so I think what I want to do is sort of panics, sort of panics and freezes up. It actually, here, hold on. Sort of panics and turtles up. We'll say offers +8 AC, but the wearer cannot move for a turn. Cannot move. We'll say until Yeah, until after their next turn concludes. So it's like they have to stay still. So it like gives you extra stuff, but it just like it makes you turtle up. And so it's like that's the chaotic thing, because it just like panics and it just like creates this extra strong magical shield that like kind of locks you in place. But hey, it's extra strong, so that's great. I think that's good. I like that. I like that a lot. So I think what I want to do with this one, I'm gonna say creates a magical energy burst when activated, causing the absorbed damage to hit all surrounding creatures for half damage, right? So it's like it takes it and it like disperses that. And so it disperses that as damage, but the problematic side effect is impacts friends and foes alike. So we'll do that. And then what it takes to remove, my first thought is must be removed magically if wearer tries to abandon the item. We'll say it will freeze the player, or it will freeze the wearer in place. We'll say in place for, we'll just say for 1 hour, while increasing AC, so that nobody actually, well, no, okay, hold on. I was gonna say it's like it increases that AC when you're like stuck in place so that you can't be moved and people can't help you, but I don't think that, I feel like wearer tries to abandon the, if wearer tries to abandon the item, we'll say for 24 hours, any energy burst damage, actually, you know what? Let's just try this. If wearer tries to abandon the item, it will refuse to work for 24 hours. Like, that's kind of minimal, but it's basically, it's like you have to wear this. So it's like if it's a breastplate or something like that, like you can't wear other armor. And if you try to go against it, it's all like, oh no, you don't want me, and then I guess I just won't work. Like, it won't be removed. But it's like, oh no, if you don't want me anymore, I won't do my thing. And so it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So then you're really out of it for 24 hours. So I think that's perfect. I think that's great, exactly as it is. Simple and effective. Simple and effective. And perfect. So that finishes up that item. And I'm looking at the time now, and I think that timing works out really well. Because it's time for me to go ahead and play some video games. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to play some Star Wars The Old Republic. I was having fun playing that one. Hopefully some people stop by and check me out playing that one. I was having fun with that one last time. And so I'm excited to play that again, actually, because I was tweaking around with the settings, and we got it set up to some really high quality graphical settings. So I think it's going to be good. So let me get us over here to just chatting. I'll do my little sign off for the sake of the VODs here. I got to do the YouTube thing. So if you're watching on, if you're watching live or if you're watching on YouTube, truthfully, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. It's a smaller crowd live today, but that's okay. Not every day has tons of people coming by, right? And Thursdays do tend to be kind of quieter days. I think it's because people are kind of bogged down with the week. They're focused on trying to get as much stuff done so they can have an easy Friday and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. There's a million reasons why. But whatever the reason, the crowd's small. For those who do show up and those who do watch the VOD, I appreciate you guys. I'll go through my social media stuff just so I can advertise myself. If you're watching me live, you can find all of this information on my About page on Twitch. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can find all of this in the video description below. Can find me, if you're watching me live, you can find me on YouTube at EnviroBoy. Or if you're watching me on YouTube, you can find me live on Twitch, at EnviroBoy. You can find me at either of those places. The YouTube VODs are there, so it's like if you can't watch live, then you can still watch what I'm doing. I put all my VODs there. Or if you're watching on YouTube and you want to watch me live and participate, I love when people come in and share comments and stuff. We didn't have many of them today, but people come in and comment. I really love discussing these things. So those options are available. If you want to see me other places, I do have a Twitter at EnviroStreams. I put a lot of announcements about streams going live and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to get little notifications about me going live, you can follow me there. As well as I'm kind of learning how to use Twitter. I've never used Twitter until like a month ago when I made one for this stream. And so it's been kind of an interesting thing trying to figure out how the hell does Twitter work? I don't know, but I'm figuring it out. I'm having fun with it. Same goes for Instagram. If you want to see some of the other stuff I get up to in my life, I do really like Instagram. I've been having fun sharing climbing videos and kickboxing videos and stuff like that, because those are things I do with my life that aren't on stream. So if you think that stuff is neat, then, come check me out. EnviroBoy Streams on Instagram, and then again, Twitter is at EnviroStreams. So you can find me at those places. I do also have a Discord server if you want to be interactive. I try to be really interactive with my viewers on Discord. People will share stuff, talk about their own stuff that they're making on D&D, all that kind of stuff, sharing ideas about video games and stuff like that. It's just it's really fun to have the conversation, and it's really fun to be connected. So if you think that would be a fun thing to do, you can check me out there. I also do use Discord a lot to make announcements about stream scheduling and all that kind of stuff. And then the last link, just to mention, just to explain it, I do have a donation link there. So because I'm not an affiliate on Twitch, I'm not a partner on YouTube, I just do this for fun. If you do want to help support the channel and, help me be able to get better equipment, donations were what helped me get this mic that I've been using this week. It's a brand new mic this week, and I've been having so much fun trying to figure out how to get that mic going and just, enjoying that my voice sounds better. So it's if you want to support me that way, you can. But truthfully, the most helpful thing that you can do when you support, to support me is just come by and watch, if everyone stops by and just watches for 15 minutes, that's really, really helpful for me. That's the kind of stuff that will get me up to affiliate, which would be awesome. I'm not sitting here desperately trying to do it, I just do this for fun. But hey, if we can get there, that'd be awesome. So yeah, just like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And actually one of the things that would be super helpful is tell a friend. Tell someone else who likes to watch streams or YouTube videos that my stuff is here and you like my stuff, and have them check me out. That type of stuff is really helpful. So I don't know. That's all my self plugs. The only other thing to mention is it's Thursday, which means I will be streaming. Again, I'll be back in a little bit, in 15 minutes after this to stream some video games. And then I'll be back tomorrow to stream as well. And that'll be the end of the week. And then we'll be on to next week. My usual streaming schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. 11:30 a.m. Eastern time zone is when I start my writing streams. And then 1:30 or thereabouts is usually when I switch over to some sort of video game or another. And I play a variety of video games, do a variety of writing. So, if what I was writing today just wasn't really your thing, but you want to see some of the other stuff that I do, then check me out on any other days. If you think that it'd be fun to hear my insights about video games and watch me goof around on those, but Star Wars just doesn't do it for you, check me out on another day. I play all kinds of different games and stuff. So, but yeah, that's all my plugs. It's all my self-advertisements. I'll stop self-aggrandizing here for a minute. I'm going to leave you guys here with just some music for a little bit. After a minute or two, you'll probably see the stream go dead for a little bit just so I can switch things over for the sake of the VODs. But then we'll be back and we'll be doing some Star Wars. So thank you so much to everyone who did stop by. I appreciate you guys. It means a lot to me that you're showing an interest in the stuff that I'm doing. I have so much fun doing it, so it's exciting that other people have fun watching it. Yeah, so sit tight. I'll leave you with the music, and I will be back pretty shortly. So I'll see you soon.